getting back to what I was saying, you're going to fight a guy with those kind of assets, physical assets. You have to have a strategy. Now, Fury had a strategy, and I got to tell you, he has 2 dimensions. Now he's got 3. He's 3-dimensional, and I don't think people realize he brought a new dimension in. He always showed he can motor scoot around the ring like he did in the first Wilder fight and keep you off balance and, play defense and be the most mobile heavyweight there is right now. Copying a little bit from the pages, of a poor man's Muhammad Ali, if you will, because nobody was Muhammad Ali. So I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying poor man's, to make it clear that I'm separating him and Ali in a way that, the way they should be separated. So that was one of his dimensions. The other dimension he showed that he adapted in the second Wilder fight was he could go get you. He could walk in, use his 270 or so pound frame, and go crush you. This time, what he did was what I thought he should always be doing. He grabbed the canvas, Ken. It was a combination of boxing, like the scootering, the purpose of scooting around the ring to be elusive, to be hard to hit, and the coming forward, where you're using your power, you're using your size. He put them both. He condensed them both. Again, this is what I would have done with him from the beginning. By setting his feet in the canvas and using his reach to control range, to dictate range. You stay there, I stay here. And he's always got the advantage to catch you before you could catch him, before you could get into his range. And you have to go through a bad neighborhood to get into his range. And he's going to mug you. That's the style for a guy like Fury that I would have had from the beginning. And he adapted it. And to his and his trainer's credit, they did a good job with that, where it was a little bit of a different look. But you should have been prepared for it because the potential was always there. Where, again, you come in 6 inches, he's going back 12. He's keeping you at the end of his jab, where you're going to be susceptible. You're going to be the victim if you stay there. You can't hit him, he can hit you. And then he's going to adjust and keep that range and continue to keep that gap where it's always going to be dangerous for you to get to him. Always going to be an uphill struggle, if you will, to get to him, where he's going to be able to catch you as you try to do that. In other words, he's going to charge you for real estate, not money, but punches. You want to come in, you're going to pay 2 punches, 3 punches to come in before you could get to the big guy, to me. So he did that beautifully. What they did horribly, what they screwed up horribly was any idea of how to deal with it. And here's the idea that was missing right from the beginning, Ken. You got to use a jab. When you got a guy who's dominating you with the jab, I don't care if his jab's longer. I don't care if it's better. Ask Mike Tyson what he did with taller guys that had longer jabs. He moved his head, got inside that longer jab, and he out-jabbed him with his jab. But you got to be taught that stuff. And he needed to use his jab to nullify the other guy. If not nullify it, at least keep it under control. To at least keep Fury honest. He didn't have to have a better jab, but he had to have a semblance of a jab just to keep Fury from doing what he did. Controlling the outside, the way that he controlled it. Being the boss and being the king on the outside, where he could control range and just make you a sitting duck. Just make you a victim. He needed to have a jab coming at Fury. Forget about the power punches. He had to have a jab to keep Fury stable on the outside, worrying about something to respect, something to kind of, as I used to say on ESPN, put bugs on the windshield, blur your vision a little bit so you don't have such a clear road of being able to see what you want to see, where you have a jab coming at you to keep you busy, to keep you from just having your way. He didn't do that. Every once in a while, he reached in with one of those haymakers, and it was embarrassing. He's lucky he didn't get caught when he did that, because he should have got caught right there. And then when the fight started, the first thing I thought, if I'm commentating, the first thing I thought was, wow, both these guys are pushing their jabs. They're not getting the most out of their jab. The bigger guy, the shorter guy, neither one are getting the most. They're both using it as rangefinders. They're just pushing it out. Whoever decides to extend the jab first, to get full extension on the jab, as you should, he's going to be the man. He's going to be the boss. He's going to be the one who leads the way. He's going to be the lighthouse that brings the ships in. And the ships are going to be the right hands behind it. Whoever does that first. And the guy who did it first, the next round, I think it was the next round or the round after, Fury. He started getting a full extension, and it was basically over. It was basically... Now, I know he came out and he played a little bit. It made me a little bit... It was a little, reminding of Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard, when Hagler, one of the greatest southpaws and middleweights of all time, came out in an orthodox stance to throw Leonard off a little bit the first couple rounds. He came out orthodox. Well, it was the opposite of that, but the same idea, where Fury, who's an orthodox fighter, comes out southpaw for the first round. Now, the only reason I can think he did that, he's a showman anyway, and he's a clever guy, and he's always thinking, was to make White think about anything but what he should be thinking about. Really, that's simple. To make him maybe even think too much. Like, whoa, wait a minute. I got to be on the lookout for something here. I got to be aware here of something's amiss. He's got something up his sleeve. And then the next round, he goes to what he was always going to do. Jabbing the guy's freaking head off with his left hand. So now he goes to what he was always going to do, jab. And meanwhile, Dillian Whyte, maybe he's still thinking, what's he going to be up to? What's he up to? He's up to jabbing your head off all night long until he hits you with a right hand. That's what he's up to. He did a brilliant job, Fury, of knowing the right fight plan, as I said, and controlling White on the outside with his jab, setting the table, and then looking to eat with the right hand. Now, he was throwing, I'll tell you where it was genius too. Genius. I knock people when they should be knocked. I give them all the credit when they get it, or should get it. What a genius thinking, strategy, move, everything. He's setting his eye level with the jab. He's making him stand tall. He made Dillian Whyte standing tall with the jab. And he's mesmerizing him with the jab. He's not destroying him with it, but he's keeping his attention, and he's focusing his eyes to that level. He's got Dillian Whyte's eyes right at that level, up at that height. And then what does he do for the first time the whole night? He throws an uppercut from the other level, from below. He gets him up high, looking at the jab, getting his eyes fixated on that level, and then he comes from below, and it's the first punch, the first uppercut all night, Ken. The first uppercut.
How'd you like the speed? How'd you like that hand speed?
No, very good, but here's the key. He had the discipline. Forget about hand speed. He had the discipline to wait all night to the right moment. You hear about it in life all the time, the right moment. Have the discipline and then be ready at the right moment. He had the discipline all night. He sets him up with the jab up high, up high, up high, up high. Why would he think anything else? And here in the sixth round, after all that time went by, he chooses to come from below, where his eyes were not able to adjust to the punch coming from down there. And he never saw it. And that's why it was so impactful. People want to make him the greatest puncher now of all time, besides making him the greatest fighter. Slow down, everybody. Slow down just a minute. Just a minute. I understand where you get a little over-exuberant. I get it. But slow down for a minute. He hit him with a hell of a nice punch. It was a well-chosen, well-placed punch at the right time. And he hit him right on the chin. And he never saw it. But the beauty of that punch was what I just described. was that he waited all night to use it. And he spent all night setting it up by getting his eyes fixated on a level where the punch was never going to come from. It was going to come from a whole different place, from the tunnels, from underneath.